Tonight we're going to talk about transportation and its future in Oregon and what it means to you if you live here or drive here. And you know, spoiler alert, it probably means you're going to pay more, or maybe you'll drive on worse roads, or maybe both, but likely you're going to pay more. The future of transportation funding, that's our big story tonight. Oregon lawmakers last night started a statewide tour, a roadshow, if you will, to try and find out what you voters and taxpayers have to say about our state's roads, and most importantly, what you think about how to pay for them. Last night, the Joint Transportation Committee, made up of Republicans and Democrats, held the first hearing at Portland Community College's Cascade campus. That's on North Killingsworth Street in Portland. They invited public testimony, but first, everyone gathered heard from the director of the Department of Transportation, Chris Strickler. He's been telling anyone who will listen that the agency does not have enough money and needs help. And by the way, anyone includes me. He and I sat down for a one-on-one interview back in March. This is one of the many slides that Strickler showed lawmakers and the audience last night so that they and you can see where the money is going. The column on the left there shows how much is needed for various things, from service functions to safety investments. And then the column on the right shows how much money is actually going into those items. And if you take a look at the bottom right, you're going to see that ODOT is reporting it is short by $1.7 billion.
The gap that we currently experience is 1.7 billion, 1.77. So roughly 2/3 of what we're putting in front of you is a gap. And that is a sign for exactly where we sit in our transportation system and our ability to maintain and keep pace with the needs that Oregonians are looking for.
Well, that's not good. The agency also played this video showing that compared to vehicles from the 90s, cars like this Camry use 25% less gas now, and that does mean less gas tax. They also showed this graphic to demonstrate how the federal gas tax has not kept up with inflation, and they also point out that Oregon's gas tax, which you pay in addition to the federal tax, is also not tied to inflation. So it's not keeping up either. What to do? Well, ODOT does have some ideas.
But the good news is that there are lots of different ways to fund a safe and efficient transportation system. One option would be to expand Oregon's existing pay-per-mile or road usage charge program. It's a modern-day take on the gas tax, in that the more you drive on the road, the more you pay to maintain and improve it. The state could also raise revenue through registration or other vehicle fees, or it could fill the gap with general fund resources. While the gas tax won't last forever, a gas tax increase could cover the costs of maintaining the system in the near term, while we work out how to fund it in the long term. And lastly, indexing these fees to inflation would make sure the system stays funded long into the future. With tough choices ahead, Oregonians will need to decide how much they want to maintain their transportation system and how best to pay for it.
That video courtesy of ODOT. So that is a big reason, in fact, the big reason that lawmakers are holding these hearings now. That video, it's longer than what I showed you, by the way, is going to play at every hearing they hold across the state. And Strickler is going to lead off every meeting explaining the finances. Now, at the same time, lawmakers do actually want to hear from folks about the transportation that they want in their area, and they do invite the public to air their thoughts last night. Hardly anyone talked about how it wants to help with ODOT's budget, by the way.
I just wanted to take this opportunity tonight to advocate for the community's needs for more access to trails and off-street paths. We need sustainable investment in creating safe and complete streets and off-street paths for our community members. We want to see more policy languages supporting the inclusion of planned bike ped facilities and major capital investment project corridors.
And I would like to voice my opposition to the I-5 widening project. I have lived in this neighborhood my entire life, and throughout my entire life, my family has never been able to afford a car, so even if I wanted to drive anywhere, I wouldn't have the ability. I would like to voice my opposition specifically because, as a member of the African American community in Portland, given the historical context of the fact that many hundreds of African Americans have been displaced by the construction of the I-5, In essence, more freeways, no more black people. I would also like to advocate for public transit alternatives.
All right, so there was some of the testimony. Some of the other testimony from the public supported widening the freeways. Now, that's something that we've heard during the tolling hearings. The big trucks hauling freight through our state are getting jammed up, stuck with traffic gridlocks in the Portland area.
I've been with Old Dominion in Portland for 18 and a half years. During that time, I've watched congestion issues in the metro area, particularly on I-205 and I-5, get worse and worse every year. Both of these highways are key trade routes for our regional and national economies, and I know that tens of millions of dollars regularly pass through these interstate routes. Unfortunately, today, neither route has adequate capacity for our trucks, let alone passenger vehicles, to travel dependably.
And others are frustrated and feel that nobody's paying their fair share to use our roads.
One 2-axle TriMet bus does as much damage to the roads as 1,200 cars. Add the weight of batteries, and electric buses will do even more damage. TriMet fares only cover about 19% of just the operating costs. Transit riders need to help pay for the roads. Furthermore, bicycling is not sustainable until bicyclists accept some accountability and pay for bicycle infrastructure.
So there were lots of different comments last night. When it was over, the lawmakers thanked everyone who came to share their concerns. And today we learned the next stop on their 12-stop roadshow will be June 18th in Tillamook. So get ready for that. Okay, so what's the deal here? Why did we bother to bring you this story tonight? Well, here's my take on this, my opinion, if you will. This is going to be one of the biggest topics we deal with when the legislature meets this coming January. It doesn't matter where you live in Oregon, this is going to affect you. And by the way, they'll probably figure a way to let you folks in Southwest Washington share some of the burden as well. The Department of Transportation is running out of money, and lawmakers are looking for ideas on how to get them more funding. And, you know, it's not like they can go buy some lottery tickets and hope to hit the jackpot. They do need to find something solid, something that's going to work. And that something will most certainly involve you. I think it's interesting that the Joint Committee invites the public to come talk about whatever they want for their local area in terms of transportation. It's nice to have state lawmakers who want to know what you think, and I'm sure the lawmakers did listen to what was said. But in my opinion, the real message here is that's nice that you want those things for your neighborhoods, but we're going to have to increase taxes and fees for you to pay for the stuff that we already do, and then maybe we can talk about the things we want. Don't believe me? That exact same thing happened back in 2017. Lawmakers held 2 road shows before crafting a package of increased taxes and fees to come up with $5.3 billion that could be invested across the state. Now, to do that, they increased the gas tax, the cost of registering your vehicle, and they added a privilege tax on new vehicle purchases because, well, it's a privilege to drive in Oregon, isn't it? They also bumped up the payroll tax to fund more transit, and they approved tolling, which for now is temporarily on hold. Okay, that was 7 years ago, but now they're back at it. And by the way, I don't think that they're trying to be sneaky here. In this release they put out in May, the first bullet point on it says the reason they're doing it is to build public understanding of transportation funding challenges and potential funding tools to address those challenges. So don't kid yourself. That's what this roadshow is really about. And I wish lawmakers on the panel did more than just thank the people who show up to testify. I wish they would explain in detail what, for example, a user fee would mean and how that would work. And I wish that they would roll out the exact details of how vehicle fees could have to go up to help in the shortfall. By the way, did you notice that there was nothing from ODOT about tolling? Yeah, me too. Anyway, lay it all out, then ask the public who are gathered which option they prefer, and then get ready to hear none of it. And I understand why you would say that. A lot of us already feel taxes are too high, services are too low. But I got to tell you, this is a real problem, and it's not going to go away. I think it's responsible on the part of the members of the committee, both Democrats and Republicans, responsible, I say, to travel the state like they're doing. But I also think they need to be more upfront about why they are out there and what's coming. I'm sure I won't like it any more than you will, but I do like it when the roads are plowed in the winter and the highways get new paving and the DMV has enough employees to keep the lines from getting awful and long. and that all takes money. So yeah, something does need to be done. And wishing it weren't so ain't gonna make it go away. So on with the road show and get ready for January. Kind of think it might be a bumpy ride.